Dennis from Planetmosh in Rockwich Festival, talking to Ian and Gary from Avenger.
How you doing?
Welcome to Cheshire, and I'm sure you're welcome to it, right?
Yeah.
Right, looking forward to playing today?
Absolutely. Just like any gig.
Yeah. So you got like a range of old and younger fans here?
Yeah, we played Hatfield last night, and
Yeah.
that was exactly the same, you know, with like varying ranges from like 15 upwards to about 72.
Yeah.
You know.
What, 72 specifically?
It's 72 specifically. Yeah.
Keep track of the next generation.
Yeah.
That's like that. You need to say that though. You need to know that there's a bit of continuity in what you're doing. You know,
That's
otherwise
right.
you can't rely on the old faithfuls all the time. Cool as they are, you know, you've got to reach
Yeah.
out and sort of be appealing to everybody else.
Yeah. Well, the people like yourselves, I mean, obviously a lot of the older fans sort of think, well, Avenger, they're still going.
Yeah.
And like I said, with the powers of Facebook, you know, a lot of the younger fans can interact with people like yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the next question, you know, the internet, you find like a good or bad for people like yourselves?
It's a hitty missy thing.
Yeah.
I think there's a hell of a lot of reliance on Facebook events and stuff, like where we like to go old school as often as we can and flyer and poster gigs.
Yeah.
I think people just anticipate everybody's on Facebook or on the net, and like there's probably as many people not.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, don't get us wrong. The internet's a fantastic tool, you know, to sort of like keep everybody aware. Like in a nanosecond, you know, you can put a sample of a song up, and 1,000 people can listen to it in 5 days or something, you know. So it is great in one respect, but it isn't the be and end all, you know.
Of course not. No,
people think, especially younger people, think it's the be and end all, and it's not. You still got to do a little bit of groundwork. You've still got to get out there and get in the trenches and put posters up and make people aware by other
That's
means.
it, like, looking, you know, the old thing, looking on lampposts and flyers in car windscreen
It's
wipers.
like it's something we used to always do. We'd get up in the middle of the night with like wallpaper paste and go out and sort of like cover half of Newcastle or wherever. And like, you know, it was a bit of an adventure. It was good fun, and you felt like you were like doing something for like, you know, like concrete for the band.
Yeah.
Whereas like Facebook and stuff's very superficial. It's like sort of like, oh, make an event, blah blah, stick a picture up, and away you go. Well, that's all right, but I mean, like, I think maybe that's what you need to have a band where, you know, you've got like the continuity to keep you going for 30 years, where you had to do that groundwork, you know. Maybe it pays off in the long run. I don't know, you know. Well, at least we're still playing anyway.
Yeah,
you know?
that's the thing, the live thing as well.
That's right.
You know.
You're the only two members left from the original lineup.
Yeah.
Well, you were joined a bit, but is it 2 years after Avenger formed, is it?
No,
it was quicker than that, wasn't it?
It was quicker, you know.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Brian got sacked from Avenger.
Yeah.
I happened to do my last gig for Satan.
Yeah.
Gary was in the audience that night, and unbeknown to me, they'd approached Brian.
Right place, right time.
So, I mean, the story goes, it's like a swap, but it wasn't a swap. You know, it's just, he got a bullet, they give me the bullet, so I joined Avenger and he joined Blitzkrieg, you know, so...
Right, yeah.
And that was it, you know, but I had a break about 2 years ago, for 3 years.
Yeah.
Was it as long as that? I don't think it was as long as that. No, it wasn't as long as that. I would say probably about 18 months.
Right. It's just how my time flies with me.
Did you get holiday pay for that, did you?
Full
holiday pay?
Well, he claimed it when he come back, you know, like, so like, I've see what I've got.
I've got no concept.
Do you
of
take
time,
green
you know.
shield stamps?
Right, yeah.
And I just needed a break, you know. It's, I had a lot going on in my life that I needed to sort out, and like, you know, I'm a 100% guy, and if I can't commit myself 100% guy, I'd say, look, you know, when we explained, we've done the situation, I said, look,
it's not, I don't think it's not just that. When you get older, it's doing a band, it's difficult. You're not like living with your mum anymore, where you just can do whatever you like.
Right.
You've got like lots of other elements to take into consideration, you know.
Wife and kids and...
Well,
and
like all sorts of stuff, professional commitments, you know.
Full-time jobs.
Things like that, you know. It's not that easy. It's like, I mean, I suppose we've been very fortunate that we've been in a situation where you can juggle things, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been like sort of like all over the place, and it's difficult, you know. It's difficult.
You signed in Neat Records back in the day.
Yeah.
Same label as Tigers and Venom.
Yeah.
Any memories of the early days? Any sort of Spinal Tap moments?
Oh, like if we're going to talk about Spinal Tap, would be here all day. You know, that phone doesn't have the battery power to sit and listen to all the Spinal Tap events. There's millions, you know.
Gigabyte, whatever it is.
Like the film wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the experiences of bands like us having Spinal Tap moments, you know. But I mean, like Neat at the time, it was an education. It was a bittersweet thing. there was a lot of people there who'd done us a lot of good. Most of them not connected with Neath Records, but like people like Venom, Raven, our friends, giving us the heads up for gigs, lending us gear, helping us out, lending us vans, bailing us out, stuff like that, you know. I mean, and that still goes on to this day. We're still friends with them now. We still have a pretty profound connection with them, you know. I think, like, can you think of anybody? Well, I mean, I know like Venom have a bit of a rick between Venom and Venom Incorporated now,
That's
but
right,
really going back to those days, like everybody's still speaking, really. Aren't they? There was never amongst the bands. There was never any sort of like real like nasty friction or anything. You know, it's always been a point where we know each other from those days. You know what I mean? And like,
and I thought, like, you know, from the northwest. They all we like to look after each other anyway, and you know. It's
one of them things, isn't it? I think we're all like John Gallagher mentioned this a few weeks ago. I think we've all been survivors in our own way. You know, like there's very few of us like anybody that did anything sort of half profound at the time have sort of like managed to endure to this point. You know, so like we all recognise that we're survivors. I don't know if it was a thing. Did you have to go through the neat experience to get those survival skills? I don't know. You know. But it was a good thing and it's a bad thing. There's a lot of kudos having been on Neat in retrospect.
Yeah.
But the experience at the time, trying to get money out of them and stuff like that, you know, and like the usual record label tennis type of thing, that's a different kettle of fish. But obviously, probably got some of the best friends I've had, like, you know, over the years through that whole thing. I mean, I worked for Neat when I was a kid. When I was 16, I worked for them, you know. Yeah. Probably if I hadn't have done Avenger, might not have happened, really, you know.
That's why I said we'd done a 3-month tour of the States in, I think it was 85, and we hit the skids on some of the gigs of Financial. Yeah. You know, some of the promoters weren't paying. Venom at the time were touring over there, and Eric Cook, their manager at the time, bailed us out. Helped us out. You know, so it's a deep loyalty in between in the northeast bands, you know, they do look after each other. There is a competitiveness, because obviously there is, but
it's natural competitiveness in life. But you're absolutely right what you say.
It's a loyal thing, you know, and it stems. I mean, I'm not originally from the northeast, but the northeast is it's bred in the culture. It's a very loyal place. Yeah, you know, and that's why I think people gravitate to it when they go and. If they come up and visit and they come back again.
I think it's not just a band thing, isn't it? You would have the same situation in a place of work or in on a regular social football, situation, you know, like it's something you recognise and you close ranks with. I think it's like a sort of almost primeval tribal thing, you know.
Like, you know, I grew up in the New Wave Bishop when I was sort of 16 or 17, and most of the press I saw in Sands and Record Mirror is mainly based on, you know, northeast bands, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's where the you know big boys came from, really.
Well, you know, we always had there was always a north-south divide as well with the Maiden New Wave. I mean, they were classed as the New Wave of British heavy metal. Your Maidens, your Angel Witches, and your Diamond Heads and things like that. Yeah. But there was a little bit of a kind of thing going, because, like, you know, we were the kind of like the South version of the, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Like.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look like how like the Geordie bands, if you like, have been very genre defining. I mean, like Maiden were a new album band that become huge, and so were Angel Witch, like become pretty big, you know, like a household name, and done their own thing. But Venom, you know, like the godfathers of black metal, which has spawned hundreds of bands, and Raven almost certainly done the same for thrash.
That's right.
Scott Ian and James Hetfield has said exactly that to me personally when I've been talking to them, like, over the years. Like, they really recognise like what Raven done as far as pioneer and thrash was concerned. So there might have been big bands from the south, and I mean, like, they're all bands I love personally. Don't get us wrong. I'm not being detrimental or derogatory to them, but like I'm really aware of like how genre defining the bigger northeastern bands were for the current music scene, you know, and like the very biggest names in the very biggest names in music will turn around and acknowledge that, you know, and I think that's really cool, you know.
Yeah, I was talking to John Waterford from Holocaust a few months ago.
Another example of it, you know.
Yeah, they were at Wildfire and they just played a great set. I can remember, you know, listening to Heavy Metal Mania on the Friday Rock Show. Yeah. Thinking, you know, what the hell is this like, you know?
And how cool is John, though? You know what I mean? He's so like...
He's just walking around all weekend, just very approachable.
Well, we played in Edinburgh a few months ago, and we're playing away, and like there's John headbanging at the front, you know?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, hell, you
We
know.
used to back to Tags of Pantang when they were.
Oh
playing
yeah, I
on
mean, like
Friday night,
he's still. I think we all still do the fan
Yeah.
thing in a big
Yeah.
way, you know. I mean, like we go to loads of gigs to see people like as a punter,
Yeah.
and like John does the same thing. There's no pretense about him at all, you know. Just
Right.
really cool.
Yeah. Right, next question. We're going to the last album, Slaughter Now Stops. You did a cover of Killers.
Yeah.
Was that like a band thing, or you just thought one of you said, well,
It was just a
Do you think
thing.
We used to play it a lot live for fun, you know.
right, yeah.
And
yeah.
like and other things.
Yeah.
And I think a few people said like, oh, you do Killers really good, you know. You should maybe think about recording it. When we ended up in the studio doing the original initial stuff for Slaughter, like we recorded it, and it sounded good. It sounded like you know, like I'd hate to do a cover and it'd be like people go like, oh, that was actually a really shit cover, because
Yeah.
people do that, and other people do like euphoric covers, you know, and like we're like, oh, you know, it's pretty faithful, you know, and by the time we had everything mixed and ready to go, Killers sat well with the other songs,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
so on it went, and then we done a video and all just the boot, you know.
Right, yeah. I put in the review that it's like a lot more aggressive than the original version.
You think so?
You know, yeah, I think so, yeah.
But it's strange because like people, obviously some people haven't heard Early Maiden before they thought it was one of our tracks.
A few people have actually thought it was one of ours, which I think is quite a nice thing
It
to
is
say.
nice,
like,
you
isn't
know,
it?
but it was strange.
Well, I prefer the first two albums anyway.
Yeah, well,
the folk
that's
stuff. I mean,
that's
he
exactly.
hasn't got the range, but it's a lot more, you know, punkier.
There's a
than
punk
yeah.
sort of passionate energy to it, though,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I say, if he'd have stayed, you know, they wouldn't be as big as they are now. Probably wouldn't really.
It's I don't know, like it's like those two albums are so enduring. I don't know, you know,
Yeah.
like maybe not. It's difficult to say.
Yeah.
Would he have grown as a singer? He's still a good singer, you know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, though, I think Bruce just had that a bit more tackle in him, you know.
A bit more hair as well.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
could
yeah,
most probably
yeah.
they could expand their horizons with Bruce, where with Paul they would have. I mean, he wasn't restricted because I've heard stuff that he's sung
Yeah.
later on after he joined Maiden, which is phenomenal, you know. And
Yeah.
the Killers album he done, Murder One, was absolutely brilliant, you know.
Yeah.
And his new album, I've heard a couple of tracks off that, and that's getting back to his old best, you know. So,
Right, yeah.
I haven't heard the Deep Purple rendition of Soldier of Fortune. I'm looking forward to that, like, but that.
But he covered Soldier of
Yeah,
Fortune.
it's on his new album, you know. So,
All right, yeah.
I mean, he's a great singer, like, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I love his voice, his tone, passion.
Yeah.
You know, and he means it when he sings every
That's
word.
it, yeah. Yeah.
You know, so,
Well, I think that's the thing. Like, music isn't all about virtuoso, technical guys with like unlimited ability. It's not
Yeah.
about anybody that's got the nuts to get up and go for it. You know what I mean?
The pure delivery, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, just a few things to finish off on. Obviously the lead singer. Any major influences? Who did you first hear that said, "All right, I want to do that for a while"?
dear me. I mean, I like David Byron from Heap.
Yeah.
Heap,
Yeah.
Gillan, a big Gillan fan, massive
Yeah.
Gillan fan. Dickinson, early Dickinson.
Samson.
Samson.
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, believe it or not. I love stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
People with distinctive voices, you know, they've got that kind of thing to say, oh, well, you know who it is when they're singing. You know, if you put a Deep Purple song, you know it's going to be, if it's Ian Gillan, you know it's Pine West.
That's right, yeah.
You know, it's very, very distinctive, very, like, original, you know, and that's the kind of things I like, you know.
Right.
Something that can, like, say, oh, hang on, I've never heard that before, you know.
Yeah.
And if people have that kind of voice, which suits the band, then it does make them individual, you know.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, them type of singers, frontmen. I mean, the Dave Lee Ross, Dee Snider's. I love frontmen like that. You know.
That's right. You know, the Daily Roth. You know, you couldn't really sort of sing a note live, but I mean, it's just like
It's an
performance,
entertainment,
really, isn't
you
it?
know.
I mean,
And that's what's sadly
Yeah.
missing in music
Yeah.
today, in heavy metal bands, because 9 times out of 10 bands now, the lead singer's got a guitar strapped to him.
it's like, you know, when we saw Van Halen with Roth in '84. So you got Eddie Van Halen to his left, probably one of the best guitarists, and like, you know, and everybody just watching David Lee Roth, and not know what he was doing. Oh yeah, Eddie Van Halen's over there, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's doing his job. He's got a job to do.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, once again, like you've got like a virtuoso player, and sort of like Roth, you know, like a singer, sort of like a good singer, but not a stratospheric singer, but like very complimentary towards each other. You know,
That's right.
it isn't so
Yeah.
cut and dried, or you know, like people.
Yeah.
It's all about combinations and people being complimentary to each other. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to have the songs. I think at the end of the day, it's all about songs.
Yeah. I've always thought, one of the best singer in that band was Michael Anthony, really, on the bass player.
It was very complimentary to Roth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and, I think, when he left, they lost that edge that
I sort of like the backing vocals and stuff really give it an injection, a real adrenaline shot. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Right, yourself in influential drummers, who did you see?
Well, I mean, I like all like typical bands at the time in the like late 70s and early 80s, like Judas Priest, AC/DC, Saxon, people like that, And but I think like drumming wise, the New Wobbin drummers sort of influenced me to, like the ones a little bit older than me, influenced me to play and be in a band. I would say like probably had it not been for the likes of Harry from Fist, Rob Hunter out of Raven, Tony from Venom, people like that, I probably would never have wanted to be in a band playing original music. I would have just been happy being a fan. But like when you know people and they're getting out gigging, I was like sort of like these are people I know. Maybe like if I really stuck in, I could sort of maybe do
that,
records and tour myself type of thing, and like if it hadn't been for them, I'm almost certain I wouldn't have sort of like tried for this type of thing. I would have been like a content fan, like content with the front row ticket.
Right.
Without a doubt. I've often asked myself that, and I thought, like watching those guys, because they're all pioneers. In a big way to me, I think they've made a big mark, maybe a bigger mark on metal drumming than they realise. I think if it hadn't have been for them, I probably wouldn't have sort of like pursued the band thing as much as I had.
Right. Obviously, you're the two original members of the band. Mm-hmm. Do you sort of find having younger members in the band, does that makes you play like a bit harder, a bit more fired up, or?
Well, the thing was that like the lads that are in the band now, and you've got to remember they've been in the band like 10 years, most of them. I mean, like Liam has more servicing than anybody that was in the original formations. Right. When they first come to like audition for the band, it was like Liam had a Venom shirt on, and we're like, oh, Venom shirt. What sort of stuff are you into? Oh, like Rory Gallagher and stuff, like we thought, these are people that are into like the current scene, but they're also into like the stuff that we grew up on type of thing, like this could really work. And so like obviously 10 years later, it's all about them and us now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you've got all the previous guitarists in from the original formation of Avenger back to back, like these have got about like 5 times the servicing. So we've actually done a lot more gigging. Yeah. We've played a lot further afield with these guys than we ever did back in the day, So there's no like sort of newcomers in Avenger. Really, it's all about it's as much about them as it is about us. We wouldn't be doing this without them,
Right.
I think like they actually sort of, because they knew about Avenger and stuff like before they joined, they sort of like really understood what we were about, So when it come to writing songs, they were like, oh, actually, like the previous stuff's always struck me in this way. So like, what do you think of this riff? Oh, fucking hell, like,
Yeah.
Right, but so it's great to work with people that are sort of have a profound connection with old school music, and they're like they've been brought up on the current stuff.
Music and young buddies.
Saying that though, like they were quite young when they first joined, but like these are guys in their mid-30s now too. You know what I mean? So like.
Done a lot of road work then, obviously,
I mean, we've been all over the place with them, but I think like we're just saying earlier on, it's definitely the most settled and happy the band's been in its history. Currently, I think that's how the current lineup's lasted as long as it has,
Right.
I mean, you've got to remember the original formation of Avenger only lasted about 4 or 5 years. We've been reformed for 10 years.
Yeah.
So, we're obviously in a much more comfortable place now than we were back in the day.
Any new material wrote for a new album, or
Yes, we're writing now.
Right, yeah.
We've actually got live recordings from about 3 or 4 gigs that we're like sifting through, because like obviously we've never released any live material at all out of everything we've done, but we've got some good live recordings of new stuff and of the classic stuff, classic if you like, like the old stuff, and we've been writing a new studio album, haven't we, for
the thing is now is like we're in the position now where we have like recordings of live stuff, and we've got also DVDs of stuff that like the road crew have taken, and things like side shots and for on house. I mean, there's some footage in Milan. We've done a gig in Milan,
right?
An outdoor thing there, and it was like it's great,
it is good stuff.
It's good stuff, even if we say it sounds great, the vibes there, the energy's there, the crowd's there, and it's great, and it's one of these things where you want to make a kind of That's the spine, a rockumentary,
Yep.
or a DVD.
I wish you'd use another word there.
Bad news, the old young ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you know, I mean, we toyed on the idea of doing it in Metallica type DVD. I mean, we thought about it a long time ago,
Yeah.
but it's just now we're come to be in the stage now that we can put bits and pieces in, and like if we want to do that. But the live thing is, we've just got reams and reams of stuff, you know. And as for new material, like I said, we're busy doing that now, which is.
I think the new material is very faithful to the last album, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up to now, the stuff we've written is sort of. The last album was written very consciously to be a natural continuation from our previous studio albums, and I think what the stuff we're writing now is a natural continuation from the latest one, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got to sort of like think, if you're going to do something, people have got to identify it to be you.
Yeah.
You know, you can't go off on some mad tangent.
No.
Plus, no, I don't think we could write anything like hideously different from what we've ever done. You know, like
12-minute
we've either got what
episode,
we've got or we've got nothing. You know, I can't see we're going like into like he says 20-minute prog epics or sort of becoming sort of like extreme metal overnight type of thing. You know, like I think the minute we start to stray away from like the Maiden, Thin Lizzy, Judas Priest sort of stuff, it's like sort of like, oh, you know, I don't think we can really do anything else anyway. But we've still got quite a bit of juice left in the tank, writing wise. I think like anybody that liked the last album will really dig what we've got up to now, you know.
Yeah,
It's
well, I was
exciting
surprised.
stuff.
I've been a fan, but I mean, a long time. But I was surprised how heavy it was. You know, I just thought, well, because you still got the elements when you wrote British metal.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like a very big production.
I think modern production and everything, and modern sounds, modern guitar sounds, you know, so like more modern amps than we had back in them days. It's all very complimentary. I mean, when you listen to live stuff from back in the day, it all sounds a bit faster and heavier than the records did.
Plus, we only used to be a 4-piece, so obviously we've been a 5-piece now. We've always wanted to be a 5-piece, but we could never find the right mix, you know, the right blend.
I think like over all that time in the early days, we only managed to sort of like get out about twice with 2 guitars, but all the stuff was written for 2 guitars, but it was just one of those things we always ended up having to go out as a 4-piece, you know.
Yeah.
I think it was such a developing time. You'd find the guitarist that would be perfect. Oh, how do you like Judas Priest? Oh, great, you know. Then like the next thing you know, they would get into Motley Crue and want to be like a hair metal guitarist, and you'd lose them. And then, you know, so it was always like the people that were into what we were doing, you know.
Yeah.
And that was a difficult thing to get, but it's great being able to do the stuff now as it was intended to be written.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing. I think that's why the last album come across that way, because we're actually firing on all 6 cylinders for the first time in my life, you know.
Plus, it gives the older material a new lease of life as well.
That's
Well,
right.
all those parts we couldn't do live and stuff, you know, like we had to play it like sort of, you know, a lot of it was written for harmonies, and I suppose anybody really familiar with it listening back can probably anticipate that. But now we can do all that, and it's great fun, you know.
And a little bit more with the material, put a little twist on it as well, you know, so kind of enhance it even more than we wanted to, you know.
Right,
in the early days when you were doing an album, you were limited on time, so now we've all remembered all the little bits we wanted to do, so we put them in now because we've got 2 guitars, so you know, so the little embellishments that mightn't sound, you know, would have sounded nicer on an album, comes live and gives something people different as well, so they go, oh yeah, I remember that song, but hey, hasn't that progressed, you know, there's some bits and pieces, so
I don't think like the thing is, though, it was just we're just doing it as it was always meant to be, wasn't it? Yeah.
30 years on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, worth waiting for, isn't it?
Of course, aye. Who would have ever thought it?
Yeah. Well, they say, you know, what comes around goes around, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
I
There's room
think
for
so.
everybody, isn't it? You know.
I think that's what it is. It's just
Yeah.
like now the music is just everyone's listening to kind of the older stuff now. I think the kids are looking into the parents' record collections and things like that. Like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have some of that.
Yeah.
But get, you know, because obviously they access the internet. Oh, see what these are about. Oh, they're quite low. Didn't know, you know.
The thing is, who would have thought New Album generally would have been as enduring as it has, you know, but people seem to be very eager to like discover it and then like devour it and become really familiar with it, you know.
It didn't really go away, did it? Obviously, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
I don't think so much at the time. People go on like, was it really cool? And I was like, sort of, I think the whole New Album being cool is a retrospective opinion. I don't think it wasn't a current thing at the time. I think it's just people like backtrack and think it's cool now. You know, probably because it was, but it certainly gets a lot more if they deserved respect, I'm not just talking about Avenger, I'm talking about everybody from those days, you know. Certainly gets a lot more respect now, you know. It's just nice to see for all of us, 80s bands, you know.
I said before about the internet. I mean, back in my day, obviously our day, it was either Sound Record Mirror or the Friday Rock Show to sort of hear that sort of thing. So
I mean, Gary hit on
there's
it.
a lot more exposure now, isn't there?
Gary hit on it earlier in an earlier interview we done that it's very, very European now. You know, when you're doing gigs in England, you get the people from all over the place are coming. You know, I mean, there was people from the States yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to John
and
from
Europe
Holocaust
and stuff.
and,
It's very unusual to get like Europeans travelling to the UK. It would normally be the other way around. You would get UK people travelling to Europe because it's always been the more intense and more healthy scene across there than it is in the UK. You know.
Well, I found it with Brofest. I mean,
that takes it to a different level altogether. You get like people from Paraguay and Chile and stuff turning up like randomly
Japan,
on their own. Yeah.
But I was talking to John Mortimer from Holocaust, and he was saying about like for bands like himself, like an EasyJet cheap flight and just go straight to a European festival.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than it used to be, getting in a van and
having a carnet.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Like back in the day, if you wanted to play in Europe, like we always had our eye on it when we were young. We wanted to do it, and we did it when we were pretty young. I think I was like 16 or 17, the first gig I ever played abroad. Bearing in mind at the time I'd never been like any further than Whitley Bay or something with my mum, like down to the seaside. But I mean, then days it was before the European Union, so you had to to take gear out of the country. There was like loads of paperwork generated. It was difficult. Now you just go, the European Union. It's like it's very easy. But back then it was actually quite difficult to get over there and gig,
Right. Yeah.
And there was no cheap flights. You couldn't just sort of like nip away and fly, Like we did, and people were prepared to put the money up. But a lot of the times it was vans and paperwork for every scrap of equipment you took and that, So it was a lot harder then than it is now.
It was squeaky bum time at customs because if they didn't let you go. They didn't let you through.
They would just like unload your gear and sort of like go through it, like screwdrivers out, backs off amps and everything, and sort of like surgically go through the whole lot, and then say like, oh, you're okay with all your gear, like lying in pieces on the hard stand,
Yeah.
What do you say to the promoter when you turn up 10 hours late?
We're getting into spinal
tap
tap moments, and can we avoid it, please? We had enough of that in the last interview. Last interview for spinal tap moments, please. Backtrack.
Right, thanks for your time, much appreciated.
Cheers, Dennis.
We'll see you on stage later on.
Awesome.
Thanks for your time.
Cheers, bud.
Right.
Cheers, kid.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Bye.